Evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Blacklist Universe. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. With me, I have Mike, not S. Actually, I don't know your middle name. Baron. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, Mike.
Two mics to entertain you tonight.
We're the League of Mikes.
The League of Extraordinary Mics. So yeah, I was just commenting that you look like you're at a different angle from your background, which made me
It
think for
might be
some
that
reason,
mirror.
huh? It made me think you were on a green screen, which is that would be a
No, in
very
fact,
strange
I've
background to
I've
have
been
for a green screen. But
I've been told by my friends I have to clean up my background. It's not so bad now, but it used to look like
kidding, look at mine.
yeah. No, yours is it's clean. There's art back there. This was like a scene out of Hoarders.
Well, that's why there's art back there because these are my old convention banners. Because look,
Oh,
this is just like I'm just covering it up with what I've got. So
very nice.
you just got to buy yourself some banners to hang behind you or something, or
Yeah,
a green screen. How you doing, buddy?
good.
Good, good. How's the fam?
The fam is great, thank you. My wife Ann, she's a genius. I don't know what I'd do without her. She ran that whole Nexus novel Kickstarter deal, and she just did a bang up job. And we were very happy with the results. We're mailing the books out now.
Nice. How did it do?
Uh, we did about 12,000, but I mean, it resulted in the biggest advance I've ever gotten for a novel.
Ooh, nice. And now, what are your
And
plans? What are your plans with the now that you have it all printed and everything? Are you sending stacks to Amazon so that they can
not
deliver or
yet.
anything
We
like
got to
that?
fulfill. We printed it locally with a local printer. They were very happy to have the business, and we probably got a decent break there too. Uh, and I've been mailing the books out since last week, so we're getting them out bit by bit. I can only carry so much to the post office at a time.
And those are heavy.
Yeah, they're heavy.
I hope you didn't have any customers in Australia.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we got customers in Australia, Finland, Germany, Spain, Japan, and it costs about $35 to mail a book to those countries.
Oh, dude, I had to ship a 2 pound package to Argentina. It was $68,
Wow. But
and
we
that was
tell the
even
people, that's what it's going to cost. If you want it, you got to pay the shipping.
yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. But cool. P Money says, "What evidence do you have that Mike Barron is alive?"
None whatsoever.
So before we get into pimping the fabulous project of yours, Florida man. Okay, darn it. I was gonna tease it for a second there. I kind of want to give my fans sort of a background on you. How did you first get into the comic book world, my friend?
I was working in an insurance company. I got a call from a newspaper editor I knew, and he said, "Hey, there's some guy down here trying to sell us his drawings, and he draws just like you." And that was Steve Rude. Well,
Really?
I mean, the editor, he didn't know anything. I was trying to draw at the time.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, for 10 years, I drew each comic by drawing each page out by hand with all my crude little stick figures. And editors and artists loved it
Yeah.
because you could tell at a glance everything that was going on the page. I'm no great artist, but I'm good enough to get my ideas across. So I met the dude, and he wanted to do comics, but he couldn't write. I wanted to do comics, but I couldn't draw. And it just so happens we were in the right place at the right time. It's Capital City Distribution, the second largest distributor of comics in the world, a multi-million-dollar corporation with plants in 7 or 8 countries, wanted to publish their own comics. So I went home and I brainstormed the first 12 pages of Nexus, and I drew it all out by hand with my crude little pictographs.
Nice.
And Dude illustrated it and lettered it, and we showed it to them, and they said, "Yeah, let's do it." And we were off and running. Capital only did 3 black and white issues and 5 color issues before they realized that they didn't know what they were doing, so they sold the rights to First. And we were with First for at least 10 years.
Oh, you
And
guys
now we're
don't
with,
you don't
pardon?
own the rights?
Well, we do own the rights to Nexus, but the only reason we own the rights is because Mike Richardson returned copyright and trademark to Steve
Wow.
Root and I in an act that I believe is unprecedented in the world of comic books.
Yeah. That's
But
epic.
I still don't own Badger. First Comics owns Badger, but they've been very reasonable in helping me get it out there.
First Comics still exists?
Yes, it's kind of a boutique publisher, and really it only exists to make properties that can be transferred into film,
Mm.
except for the Philbach brothers, who do amazing work. I mean, they do stunning, emotional stuff, and I wish more people were aware of them. They did a book called uh, Dogs of War that's guaranteed to make you cry. I mean, it's so
Mm.
powerful. It's about a veteran who adopts a pup. I don't have to tell you anymore, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a terrific book.
So taking a step back real quick, when you did the layouts functionally, right?
Well, sort of, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how close to your layouts did Steve stick, or did he just? Yeah, okay, I get it.
Sometimes he was very close, but often he found a much more imaginative way to picture it.
Right on, right on. All right, so then you were doing Nexus. That was your maiden voyage, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. And that ended up being like selling like not indie numbers, right? Like it was like one of the biggest things back in the day.
I have no idea. I never saw a royalty check from First.
Oh man.
Uh, they had high overhead, and I'll tell you about that someday. But but I have seen royalty checks from Dark Horse. And we're still with Dark Horse. They're planning on publishing some new material next year. It was going to be this year until all this shit hit the fan.
Oop, language. We don't swear on my show. Thanks, Mike.
I'm sorry, Mike. Bat
Your
guano.
wife's gonna come and slap you in the back of the head.
She's out of the house.
Well, cool. So then you went on to what was your first work at Marvel? Was it Punisher?
Yeah, it was. Carl Potts asked me to write the Punisher because of the Badger.
Oh, right on. And how was your experience there? Was it the 80s or the 90s?
80s. I wrote the Punisher for 5 years, and it was terrific. I had pretty much complete editorial freedom when Carl was in charge. He only demanded that the stories make sense. And I approached the character as a straight crime comic. There was no superheroes or science fiction or anything about it for the first 3 years. But then Carl got kicked upstairs, and I had a new editor, and he wanted more cross continuity with other titles. So the X-Men started appearing, and some more Ultra stuff. But Doctor Doom was a natural, and the Kingpin was even more natural. I mean, the Kingpin is like the perfect Punisher foil.
Yeah, yeah. So was that? I mean, how was it going from? Well, I guess you got to do pretty much whatever you wanted, but you were working with somebody else's characters. When you went from just doing whatever you wanted to kind of a little more editorial control, is it? Did you see any benefits from having sort of your sandbox being a little more closed in? Controls. Because to me, it feels like if you play within boundaries, it forces you to become more creative.
No, I didn't mind it at all. It was their character, and they had every right to tell me what they wanted to see. And a good writer takes his marching orders and executes them to the best of his ability, as long as you keep rule number one in front of you. And rule number one is it's the writer's job to entertain.
Right. Cool. Excellent. So after Punisher, you moved on to what?
Well, DC asked me to write The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the first 13 issues, and then I didn't know what to do next. That wouldn't happen today. I didn't know what to do, and so I gave it up. But I also wrote Dead Man, and I really got in a groove there because Kelly Jones was the artist, and it was on Dead Man that Kelly exploded into the artist that we know today.
Yeah, so epic. Damn, you've worked with some really good artists. Who was the artist on Punisher?
Well, I had many artists: Will Portacio, Eric Larson, Bill Reinhold. Klaus Janson was the first artist, and Klaus did all the art, I think, for the first 4 issues, pencils and inks.
Dang, dude.
Dave Ross did some issues.
Legendary, Mr. Barron, legendary. And so, yeah, just take us down. What are the highlights of your career after that? Do you think, in your opinion, what are you most proud of?
Well, I'm most proud of Nexus and Badger. I think that any strong creator is going to love his own children the most. And I'm still working on Nexus and Badger. This is 40 years later. I'm still turning out material. There's going to be new Nexus and Badger next year, and that thrills me. But the reason I wrote the novel was that the dude, he did exactly what I said for like 15 years, and then he decided he wanted to alter the text a little bit. So he started rewriting the scripts. And, we were together. He said, "What's your ultimate Nexus story?" And I said, "Nexus versus Galactus."
Mm.
And so he said, "Well, let's do it." So I wrote it. And he hired me to do that because he was publishing himself about 10 years ago. And he paid me a very fair rate. I have no complaints, but he was the editor and the publisher, and it was his prerogative to change the scripts. Do I wish he hadn't changed the scripts? Yes, I do. I think the stories would have been better, but that was his prerogative. And that's the story that eventually is going to be published by Dark Horse next year.
Oh, wow.
But I decided to do my own version. And so I started writing this novel, and it was so liberating. For some reason, I've been writing novels for 10 years now, and I've got like 15 or 16 novels in print. But writing Nexus was like just free form, because we created this world ourselves. It takes place 500 years in the future, and you can pretty much get away with anything you want, although the story is internally consistent. And it features all the main characters, but I was able to go into those worlds in much greater detail and nuance. There's a lot of real science fiction in it. There's a lot of what it means to be a human, what it means to be an alien, how it's possible to travel interstellar distances using a black hole. I dug up a book called The Iron Sun, which posits about when a black hole collapses, it spins and throws out a saucer-shaped gravitational field, just like an ice skater. When she's out on the ice and she draws her hands in, she spins so much faster.
You're
That's
talking
what
about
happens.
an accretion disk.
Right. And the author of the book posited that if a ship were to approach it at the most precise angle at the rim on the equator, which is a very, very narrow window of opportunity, the ship would be sucked in and spat out of a white hole instantly, several light years distant. But if you approach from any other angle, you'll be instantly crushed.
Very fun.
So be careful.
Yeah. Is there I know your Kickstarter is done. Did you put it up on Indiegogo for online store, or do you have any other way?
No. The Nexus Kickstarter, I'd have to ask Ann about that. It's done as far as I know. And we have enough books that for people who came in late, and a lot of people weren't aware of the campaign, if they want to PM me or contact me through Twitter at Bloody Red Baron, I have books to sell. But when it's all done and we sold out all the books we printed, we're going to put it up on Amazon.
Oh, okay, cool. Bloody Red. Yeah, that's what I did.
Bloody Red Baron.
I'm putting it up in the chat. That's what I did with the Meg graphic novel. Is when I set it up, I was like, I printed 2,500 copies just to send to Amazon. I sell sometimes 3 a day.
I just read your Meg novel, and it was magnificent. I really liked it. And it was because J.S. Earls did the formatting and cover design for my Nexus novel.
Yeah. For a writer, he's a hell of a designer.
Yeah, he's terrific.
He's really good. Cool. All right, well, let's talk about what you're up to right now.
Well, that Florida Man campaign is winding down, but we still got 6 days to go. And it's about Florida Man. Everybody, you know who Florida Man is. You've seen the stories. Can you play that video?
Hold on. Let me back it out. I have to intro it with audio. Oh, I need the Chrome tab.
Because this video kind of captures the essence of it.
All right.
Hey man, y'all got beer still?
You've seen the stories. Now, writer Mike Barron and artist Todd Mulrooney are bringing the quintessential Florida man, Gary Duba, to life. Gary's just a regular guy living in a trailer with his girlfriend Crystal, but he's got dreams, big dreams. He just invented house suspenders that will secure any home to the ground in rough weather. And now he's going to show them off on Piranha Pool, the TV show where venture capitalists and entrepreneurs pony up if they like your pitch. But when his gal Crystal gains notoriety as an infamous amateur wrestler, she quickly advances to the pro circuit where her greatest challenge is an angry Australian grappler. Follow Gary and Crystal on their extraordinary journey from rags to riches. To rags, to riches, to rags, to riches. All while dealing with shady lawyers, toilet snakes, wild gators, cheating hearts, feral hogs, and problem shoppers. Back Florida Man today and reserve your very own copy of the Florida Man graphic novel. We're bringing back funny books, y'all.
Chris Brawley put that together. Oh, I lost you, Mike. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I muted myself.
Oh, there you are.
Wait, how'd you know I asked who did the commercial?
Pardon?
Did you hear me ask who did the commercial?
Chris Brawley.
I know, but you answered the question, but I was muted.
Oh, well, no, that's because because I always say that because it's so slick. It's so professional. That's what Chris does for a living. Do you know Chris?
I'm just online.
Right.
Is he? It's Bounding in the Comics, right? That's his?
He's Bleeding Fool.
Bleeding Fool. All right, I get those two confused. All right, so what was the impetus for you deciding to do Florida Man?
Every day I go onto line. You can't avoid these stories. I mean, they're all over every news site. In fact, there's an aggregate site called floridaman.com, and they have over 10,000 stories, and they're all real. And we all, I'd repeat some of the headlines, but they're a little off color. And I just realized this character, he's begging to be personified in fiction. If I could draw all these influences together and put them into one guy, skirting the more salacious and vile stuff, but still very funny. And Gary Duba, in many ways, he's the most admirable character in the book. He's got a good heart. He's got a hair trigger temper. He's not very good at making decisions. He likes to drink a lot. And he's always looking for a fast buck. So it's one scheme after another. That's why it's rags to riches to rags to riches. Some of the stuff he gets into, I can't really tell you what's in the book because I don't want to give too much away, but I guarantee you will burst out laughing, your head will explode, and your eyes will pop out of your skull.
Sounds like the story of my life. Awesome. And how did you end up teaming up with Todd Mulrooney?
Well, I contributed a story for a horror. Pardon?
I said, let me show some of this art. It's
please. That cover that Todd did is iconic, and it went on the cover of my novel. Because after I'd written the comic book, I realized I had a very detailed outline for a novel. So I wrote the novel and I sent it from my publisher, and he snapped it up, and he wanted to use that cover too. But the two audiences are more or less mutually exclusive. So we're using the cover. It was originally intended for the comic. And Todd had been assigned a horror story I wrote for an anthology that never got produced. And I saw his art. And I made him an offer. I said, Todd, if you throw in with me on this, you can be co-owner of the book, by which I mean the graphic novel.
Right.
And Todd was all for it. And he just keeps getting better and better. I mean, those images that he's putting out, if you scroll down, you'll see some of them like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's in the guts of the book, and he's turning out some amazing stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Where on earth? I mean, I've never seen him before. And then I had him on my show, and because I had that, that one private group that we have. And he came on, and I'm just watching him draw. I'm like, wow, dude.
Yeah, it's all digital too.
Yeah. It is good. Good stuff. Tell me what's going on here.
Well, Crystal's in jail for getting naked at a Waffle Hut and licking the manager.
That makes
And
sense.
yeah, and he needs $500 to get her out, and he gets in a little trouble first with the pawn shop owner who won't buy the card. But then he goes to this lawyer, Habib Rodriguez. That's Habib right below. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the Habib Rodriguez sign.
He looks familiar.
And Habib says, "Well, I don't want your rookie card, but I'll tell you what. Can you take a picture? Because I got a client. She's suing her husband for divorce. She knows he's sneaking out to the Flamingo Motel to have an assignation with we don't know who. Get a picture of him in flagrant delicto, and I'll take your case." So Gary goes to the Flamingo Motel. He waits in the dark until the guy goes in with his date, who's a 7-foot-tall Jamaican. But when he's taking a picture, car pulls into the parking lot, casts a shadow back there, and Patrice, the Jamaican, sees it, and he comes out and says, "What are you doing, man?" And they get into a fight in the parking lot, and that's how they meet. And then Patrice becomes a recurring character.
Right on. And you got this went from a, what was it, a 56 page to 64 pages. How did you decide to flesh it out? Because you went in with a full script, right?
Well, I had 24. I had 130 pages of script.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but when I came back to it after doing the novel, I kept the first 24 pages, although I've changed them somewhat. I'm always, every time I look at something I've done, I can find a way to improve it. And then the following 24 pages were all fresh. And then I kept going because they wanted to make it a bigger book. But I have so much material in the 2 novels. There's 2 Florida Man novels out now. I have so much material there that we could continue doing the Florida Man graphic novel. We could easily put out a book every 3 months, quarterly, forever. Because every day there's a new Florida Man story. But I have all these ideas.
Todd, though?
Yeah.
Boy, this drawing looks like James Hudnall, doesn't it?
It does look a little like James.
Yeah. That's good stuff. So how fast is Todd?
3 pages a week.
3 pages a week?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, man, good stuff. Good stuff. I hope everybody gives it a shot here. Oh, you sold out of your ladies wrestling referee?
Yeah, we're putting them in the comic. They will become characters that accompany the wrestlers into the ring.
Oh, gotcha. Be a ladies wrestling valet.
Yeah.
Retailer bundle, Florida Man autographed pack. What's in the autographed pack?
I'm not sure, but we're offering a towel with the copper tone ad and a lunchbox and postcards.
All right, let's go through this one at a time. All right. So the Florida Man Beach Party comes with, for $150, you get the Florida Man digital version, which I applaud. I think people, I don't want to say it's wrong or right or anything, but a lot of people are like, no, don't do digital. But there's a whole audience out there for digital.
Yeah, especially overseas if they don't want to pay $35 or $60 for shipping.
That's right. So we got the Florida Man digital. We got the Florida Man Prose novel PDF. Florida Man print version, Florida Man t-shirt, metal lunch box. Wow, those got to be expensive to make.
That's all Chris's idea.
All right.
I don't know. But I mean, they've been done before. I got some Dark Horse lunch boxes they put out.
Yeah. Nice.
And then the towel, that's the real.
Yeah, the beach towel, your name in Florida Man, thanks, and 5 postcards. So you can post people and say, wish you were here. Then you could put an arrow. Never mind. I don't want to do that. Let's see. You got just the plain Florida Man graphic novel. Again, that is a 64-page monster for only $25. 379 of those claimed. That's not bad at all. Florida Man,
and I'm telling you, it is the funniest comic ever written. It's not a brag. It's not a boast. It's the truth.
I don't know. I think you're going to have to compete with the Magnificent Seven for that title.
How was that doing?
We're at 27,736 on Indiegogo, and then
Wonderful.
just shy of 2,000 on Kickstarter. So
I
we're
read,
both.
yeah, I read those pages you sent me, and they were brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure you've run into a flurry of hostility from the usual suspects.
Well, it's interesting. You have a lot of people over on one side that just they're absolutely hostile and just think like, why does this exist? Why is this on my webpage? It's like, and then they start saying that the art is horrible and it's terribly written. I'm like, you haven't even read it. I'm like, there's nothing, you've seen nothing, and you're judging my art as horrible. Which, hey, art is subjective. But
your art is magnificent. Anybody who says that is just lying. I mean, they either that or I mean, I don't see how anybody can say that with a straight face.
All right. And then you get people on a certain other side of the aisle just mocking me for doing a political comic book, and I'm like,
yeah, like they're not.
Everything's political in one way or the other.
I know.
Right.
Not my stuff. I try to stay away from that because my first rule is it's the writer's job to entertain. I always keep that first and foremost in my mind.
Right.
I want to grab the reader by the throat to the
Yes,
exclusion of all else. I can't wait for, he's got to want to turn the page, because the essential question in all fiction is what happens next, and the reader has to care before he turns the page, or he's going to put that book down and pick up something else.
That's
so
right.
You've got to involve the reader.
That's right. That's that hook. And you want that hook in their throat.
Right. It's like catching a gator. You take your dead chicken and you hang it on a grappling hook over the water. That's what I'm doing. I'm hanging my dead chicken over the water.
Excellent. And for research, you did eat gator, right?
Oh yeah. In fact, if you like croc movies, there's a movie called Rogue, which is as good as Jaws. I'm not kidding. It's just a masterpiece, and I encourage everyone to see it. Rogue.
Is that new one that came out last year?
No, it's been out for about 10 years. It's about a saltwater croc in Australia, and it will grab you by the throat.
I'll have to check that out. Let's see. We got Bianca Fight the Zombies says, Florida Man looks good. It reminds me of a book series at the tip of my tongue. I don't get it. And your logo designed by?
I don't know the name of that logo, but Ben Henderson originally commissioned that. He's got a terrific designer, and I'll find out from him. He gave that logo to me because Ben was going to publish it, but then Ben became the target of a huge hostility campaign on Twitter, which is partly his own fault because he likes to fight. So he pulled out of comics altogether,
Yeah.
And Florida Man was homeless for a while, and we kept talking about it. And I was talking about it to Chris Brawley, and he says, "This looks hot. I would love to run this campaign." And I said, "Great," because I don't know how to run a campaign.
Wait, how'd you get in front of Chris?
I don't know. We were talking back and forth because we have mutual interests, and I liked his site, and I was talking to him about stuff that's going on in the industry. And I don't know how it came up, but he said, "I want to do it." And here we are.
Nice. By the way, I believe Elliot Fernandez did the logo. He's a big part of my channel, so that's why
Thank you, Elliot. You're a genius. I love that logo.
Guy from Red Bank says, I miss James Hudnall. So do we all.
James was a sweet guy.
Boy, it's been about a year, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. And he invests in Bitcoin. Does Florida Man invest in Bitcoin?
No, but he may get around to it. I mean, he's tried every other scam under the sun. I forgot. Well, you know how to make it work. I mean, I can barely operate this computer. It's a miracle I'm speaking to you now.
Yeah, we have had our difficulties with you in technology. Let's see. Is Nexus Jalapeno Milk asks, is Nexus related to Space Ghost?
Well, the dude is a huge Space Ghost fan, and
Yeah.
it obviously influenced his art a great deal. And he was a big Alex Toth fan as well. And you can see that in his art. But now the dude has synthesized all the best influences from Jack Kirby and Alex Toth and Frank Frazetta and created his own style.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, the dude. Like I said, you've worked with some legendary artists. The dude is legend. His art is phenomenal. I love it. When he came up to me at a con a couple years ago to watch me work, and I was like, "What?" It was because he's like, "I like to watch people work with real tools," because I was using a brush and everyone else is using pens and stuff.
Yep.
And then he went on this whole diatribe about how you should use bigger brushes because and it's like he's like, you've been
paintbrush,
suckered.
a
You've been
house
suckered by
paintbrush.
He thinks everyone in the industry has been suckered into using small brushes.
Yeah, and a lot of guys have just gone purely digital.
Yeah. Personally, I can't. I mean, like what I'm working on here. Let me show. This is all digital, but this is like as far as I took it. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can. You printed it out though.
Yeah, that's right. I printed this out. This is basic breakdown level. So I will go in with my pencil and tighten all this stuff up, and then I'll ink it traditionally. But that is the one thing to be said for digital is like when you're doing layouts and stuff, and you're like, oh crap, I should have drawn that a half an inch to the left. Instead of like either letting it go or erasing it and redrawing it, you're just like circle, move. And it's like it can save you a lot of time, or it can make your art just better because you didn't do those kind of screw ups.
Matt wants to know where the story came from, and I drew some inspiration from the real Florida Man stories. But when I started writing the novel, it became its own creation, and Gary Duba became a real human being. And any writer knows this, that when you create a fully fleshed character, at some point the character is going to start telling you what he's going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was part of it. But a lot of it, I just thought, what would be the most outrageous situation? And then I found a way to work that into the story because it's all about conflict and
conflict is drama.
Yeah, bad decisions. But everyone is designed to end up with a horse laugh, with just trying to break people up. The most outrageous situations I could come up with.
Oh, there's a good question. P Money asks, why did Barron decide to only include digital with a print copy? Actually, Mike's not running the campaign, Chris Braley.
Yeah.
But maybe you can ask him why not a
I will.
only tier, because I think some people would want that. Magic Carpet Ride, we already answered the question earlier, but if you want to repeat any new Nexus comics on the
Magic, next year there's going to be a huge new book that they were calling the newspaper strips, but I think the dude is now going to call it Nexus versus Gormondo, which is the subject of my novel, but they're different storylines.
Oh, okay, cool. You didn't have anything to do with was it the Moth?
No, that was Gary Edwards. Helped dude with the Moth, and I think the dude wrote some of those Moth stories himself. And it was a try to do a real simple 50 era style good guy with no nuance. He's not an anti-hero. He's a hero.
Right on. All right, let's see. Mike's cat learned to bark. No, that's the other Mike's dog.
Those are my dogs. They're running around in the background going crazy.
Waking Up says, just checked out the campaign. I'm not getting anything on shipping price or address verification. Is that normal? Again,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's not running the campaign, so maybe you could pass that along.
I guarantee you Chris is keeping track that if you've backed the campaign, he has your address. It's on record. I don't know about the shipping price, but I do know that from shipping out these Nexus novels, we've been doing them media mail, And each novel is $3.33 anywhere in the United States. And the graphic novel is probably going to be less because it'll weigh less.
Yeah. So you're just shy of 3 pounds on the book.
Now, this novel, I don't think this novel weighs 3 pounds.
Yeah, I said just shy of 3.
I don't
Once
think
you
it
hit
weighs
3, you're up another like 90 cents in shipping.
No, I think I don't even think it weighs a pound. It might
What?
weigh a pound. It might
Really?
weigh a pound. Yeah, it's
Oh,
over
yeah.
400 pages.
Yeah, dude, that's got to be. All right, P Money asks, which artist at DC or Marvel did you enjoy working with a lot?
Well, Kelly Jones, of course, and
I
Bill
keep meaning
Reinhold,
to
but
get
I
Kelly
brought
on
Bill
here.
with me from Badger.
I keep meaning to get Kelly on here, but we just never seem to coincide on times.
I enjoyed working with Dean Zachary a great deal on Hawk and Dove. I thought Dave Ross was brilliant on the handful of Punishers that we did. Will Portacio was terrific as well.
Legendary. Digital is more convenient. Yeah, we know. So just real quick, because I do want to, I only have 7 days left myself on mine, and I want you to
Mike, you feel free to post on my page. I think
tell me again how you liked my book, so everybody knows that it's not just me. I'm not lying. It is good.
Well, first of all, when we start buying comics, we're usually, as a young man, I was drawn in by the art. I was just blown away when I saw artists like Barry Windsor Smith, and I got hip to Neil Adams and Steranko. And your art has that kind of impact.
Oh man, thank you.
And when I read Meg, that shark, that shark practically leaps off the page. I always felt that comics are the worst medium for horror because no matter how scary the picture, it's just a comic. You can always close it and set it down. But the thing about Meg is it was a really good novel and a really good adaptation. It wasn't just cheap thrills like most horror comics are. I wouldn't even call it a horror comic, but it draws you in because the characters are fascinating. You care about the characters and you care about the situations. And with those sharks keep popping up out of the page at you.
Thanks. We're not selling the Meg, but I appreciate it.
But I mean that's an example of your art there. Yeah, but this is even better. I mean, look at that cover. It's dynamic. It's colorful. It's a perfect team cover.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was trying to make it. Usually, I like more subdued colors in my work, but I was like, this is like red, white, and blue superhero crazy. So I just made everything really saturated and popping off. So, but did it make you laugh? Is the question.
Oh yeah, it did. And just the cover alone, I know. I mean, we know that it's causing meltdowns all around. People go,
Speaking of meltdown,
that makes me happy.
Good. All right. Well, that's enough of me pimping me. Let's pimp you more. All right. Let's see. Florida Man, anything else you can tell us about this that would entice a viewer to say, I have to give this a try or I'm an idiot?
Well, yeah, I can guarantee you that it's going to be the most dynamic and memorable comic you ever read. And as soon as you're done reading it, you're going to turn to the person closest to you and shove it into their hands and say, you have got to read this because it delivers. I know how to construct a story and I know how to set up a gag. And this is guaranteed to make you burst out loud laughing. Guaranteed.
Nice. That actually makes me wonder, what would be your key advice to a young writer?
Well, the first thing I always say is, what is your story about? And when somebody asks you that question, you have to be prepared with an enticing answer that you've written down and memorized so that you don't fumble around and say, well, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings with orcs, only instead of dragons, we have giant eels or something. No. And the pitch for Florida Man was that Gary Duba's having a bad day. There's a snake in his toilet, a rabid raccoon in the yard, and his girl Crystal's in jail for getting naked at a Waffle Hut and licking the manager. So Gary sets off with his best friend Floyd to sell his prized Barry Bonds rookie card to raise the $500 needed for bail. but things get out of hand. And the first thing that gets out of hand is they get into a road rage incident, shooting back and forth with a woman in a Lincoln who keeps trying to cut them off, little realizing that she's a state judge and that they will run into her later. And
Of course
that's
they
just
will.
one of the setups. It's like a big Rube Goldberg machine where one thing leads to another, and it just keeps getting more and more absurd. But it's like boiling a frog. You know, you start off cool, the frog doesn't realize it's being boiled until it's cooked, and that's the situation. It just keeps getting more and more absurd until finally you say, how did we get here? How did we get to two drunk Santas throwing dead iguanas out in front of the Church of Scientology yelling, ho, ho, ho?
So it's if I had to boil it down to a single pitch, raising Arizona on acid.
Fair enough. Yeah, I did enjoy working on Archer and Armstrong, but I don't think I did as good a job as Barry Smith did, and I'd love to take another crack at those characters. What I really enjoyed doing for Valiant was the Mystic character from New Orleans. I'm just blanking on it now. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, which I had the pleasure of working with Rags Morales on. Talk about another great artist. And we did that Magnus Nexus crossover.
Yeah, I love Valiant, man. It just felt like such a missed opportunity because those were great books, and I really felt like that they could have, if they'd have stuck around, like doing it the way they did at the beginning, they could have taken on Marvel and DC. I felt, you know. But I don't know. From an outsider's, I thought it was getting rid of Shooter that shot him in the foot, but I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know, I worked with Vale Myerick on a number of those titles, and I've worked with Vale on many, many titles. He's another terrific artist.
Yeah. P Money is a huge Rags fan. Any other questions for the great Mike Barron? We're not talking burritos, P Money. Why? Who keeps bringing up burritos? I had a burrito stream earlier. I went for a walk, and I go for a walk to my little Mexican place down here. I order myself a California burrito, and I eat it on screen. And then that's how you grow your YouTube channel, Mike.
Well, yeah, there you are. We're talking burritos now. I had a burrito for breakfast.
There you go. So did I. There you go. Copacetic. 2 Mikes having burritos for breakfast. That's the name of the next show.
Yep.
Come on by. Space for Rent says, I was about to say it sounds like a spiritual sequel to Raising Arizona.
Well, in a way.
It's a compliment. I love Raising Arizona. So.
Yeah, I can't see Nick Cage as Gary. I see Matthew McConaughey or that guy that starred in, he was in The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. He's a quirky actor, 127 actors, 127 hours. His name is James something.
Yeah, I love that guy. The guy that plays Buster Scruggs?
No, that guy, he was a genius. I mean, that first episode, I've watched that several times. Who am I thinking of? James Franco.
Oh, yeah.
James Franco would make a good Gary Duba.
I like James Franco a lot.
Yeah. Just
as a person. Steve Swanson said, Jim Shooter only wanted a limited number of books to keep the quality high. The investors wanted to cash in on speculators.
Yeah, that's what remember all the multiple covers and the chromium covers.
Yeah.
Why is Max outside?
I know. Eden's out there with him. Did Marvel ever try to buy Badger? Seems like it would have fit as Wolverine antagonist.
Oh no, Marvel doesn't buy characters from other people. Well, I guess they have picked up a few, but they're much better off just generating their own. And some people believe that Deadpool was inspired by Badger. I wouldn't know.
P Money says, anyway, to make this fanboy's dream come true and Mike M and Mike B work on a future project together and I can die happy. We've been crisscrossing those ideas for a few years now.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of these days. Mike, how long did it take you to write your first 20 books? What an odd.
Do you mean novels?
I guess so.
I can do 3 to 4 novels a year. And you have to, too. Very few people write one novel and it blows up and they make a killing and they never have to work again. But one thing that I've learned from my mentor, Kevin J. Anderson, is that you approach it in a workmanlike way, and that you have to produce one novel after another, just like a house developer. You don't just build one house. You develop a whole area and you build a dozen houses there, and that's what a novelist does. And that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my work. I love my work, and I don't write anything unless I'm excited about it. I have to entertain myself or I won't entertain others, and I also have to surprise myself or I won't surprise others.
Mm. Yeah, otherwise it's all by rote. Hey, did you before you started writing? I mean, you jumped into comics. Did you like take any classes on writing or read any particular books?
I wish I had taken more. I did take a couple of classes, and I had a great teacher named Jerry McNeely, and he said, you make them laugh a little bit, you make them cry a little bit, you scare the hell out of them, and that's entertainment.
On top of story structure and rhythm and all of that stuff.
And after I graduated, I went to Boston. I worked for newspapers for 7 years. I was a journalist. And when I returned to Madison, Wisconsin, I worked for another newspaper. So I've always been writing. I've been writing all my life.
Right on, right on. Matthew Fowler is a big fan of your Dead Man book with Kelly Jones.
Thank you, Matt.
Jalapeno Milk says, was Mike working with something with your boy Zach?
Yes.
That's a yes.
And if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see an illustration of Nexus by Kelsey Shannon.
Oh, yeah, I just saw that.
And there's a reason he did that.
All right. Hold on a second. Mike Barron. I just saw that when I was scrolling through the old Facebook. All right, let me grab this. Open image in the new tab.
I'm doing a 3-issue run of Nexus through Splatto Comics.
Really?
Yeah.
That's going to be epic.
Yeah.
There it is. Have you announced it? Or did you just right now?
No, I've mentioned it to several people. It's not going to happen until next year because Kelsey's behind now on the series he's doing for Mitch Breitweiser.
Mm-hmm.
But he's excited about it. He read the script and went crazy, and he did that illustration. And I think he did that yesterday.
And so where have you been talking about? Don Chin says hi, Mike and Mike. You can just
hi,
call
Don.
Mike squared. We're both square. No, so have you been? You said you've been talking about it.
There's been no official announcement, but people ask me and I tell them it's written. 3 issues, they're written, and they're some of the best stuff I've ever done.
Well, why don't we make this the official announcement?
All right.
Go tell
Richard
everyone
went crazy.
The official announcement. But in order for you to get this, you have to go first get Florida Man.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I guarantee you nobody's going to be disappointed in this book. In fact, they're going to hold this book up and say, why can't other independent books be this good?
Yeah. Don Chin says, love me some Nexus. Jalapeno, who's drawing the Splatto Comics Nexus? That's Kelsey Shannon. All 3 books?
Yep.
All 3 books. Wow. Wow. I love Kelsey's work. He is phenomenal. Did you have one in your hand, right? The Norris Saga?
Yeah, I got him in the other room.
Who was I just talking to? Oh, that was Elliot, the aforementioned Elliot Fernandez. The Art of Reed says hello, friends. Iron Luke says, I got Florida Man.
Thank you, Iron Luke.
Excellent. Art of Reed said, I backed this book. Awesome. Everybody go back Florida Man, because Mike Barron, he's legend. Everything he does turns to gold. He's like Midas,
Well,
right?
only in the last 10 years. I mean, there are a lot of books I'd like to pull back if I could, from 20 and 30 years ago. There's stuff that every time I look at something I wrote, I find ways to improve it.
Right. Yeah, you know what? That's kind of the way I'm famous for my my saying pride is a sin. I don't know if you know about that. But in a very, very functional way. When you're proud of your own work, you're incapable of seeing the flaws in it.
Right.
Right. So to me, pride is the antithesis of growth and the antithesis. I can't even say it.
Antithesis.
Antithesis.
Wait,
The opposite.
I have to say that prior to 10 or 15 years ago, I had terrible doubts about everything I wrote, including novels. It took me 30 years to learn how to write a novel, but that's because I'm a slow learner. It's not because there's any great trick. But when I got it, I got it. And now I proceed with confidence, and I don't have racking indecision about what I wrote, because I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell what constitutes story and what carries the story forward. I just have that sense now, and I'm pretty happy with my the novels I've put out in the past 10 years.
Excellent, excellent. Mike, why are you bringing this up? Because I'm talking about a principle that pride contradicts growth. See that? I didn't use antithesis. Hey, I said it. In every aspect of life, and I think that's I'm a Bible believer, so the word pride is never used in a positive connotation in the Bible ever. I think our modern context of where, I'm so proud of my kids, I'm so proud of this, it's like the language has changed, but I think the intention of having an uncritical look of your self, of your life and whatnot, that's essentially what pride is. The reverse of, says Jeff Paz. Yeah. And doing that, looking back at your stuff and saying, oh yeah, I could have done this better, I could have done this better. It's a great place to be if you want to grow as an artist, as a writer, as a human being. Right? Yes? No?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Timothy says pride is a sin. Yeah, so Florida Man, we got 6 days left. Magnificent 7, we got 7 days left. At least you are not shadow banned on Indiegogo, Mike.
No.
Which is good. So
what are you doing about that?
What can I do? I've emailed them. I've asked them. I think it might have something to do with me having Caitlin Bennett on it, because I went to do a search for Caitlin Bennett. Like I do a word search for Dean Cain and it pops up. I do a word search for Caitlin Bennett and nothing pops up, even though her name is in the campaign. So Indiegogo has blocked the name Caitlin Bennett from their search, which means it probably has to do with her association with Alex Jones, who is apparently poison on the internet. But it's probably that. I have no confirmation, but I emailed the trust and safety people at Indiegogo to see if that's the problem and if there's a way to fix it, and they have still not responded to me. So
has John Trent covered this?
No, nobody's.
Does he know about it? Does he know about it?
I messaged him. The only person that's covered it, the people with Bianca Fights the Zombies covered it, and Clownfish TV covered it.
Well, Bleeding Fool's going to cover it now.
Well, that'd be great. I got 7 days left on this. I appreciate that.
Can you extend the campaign?
I mean, I can, but if it's not being, if it doesn't show up, there's no reason to extend it.
I know. We were banned by Reddit, and we got a huge boost out of that.
Yeah, from Clownfish. No, that when Clownfish did cover it, I got a nice little boost too. Jeff Potts says Mike's next comic is about a superhero that has been shadow banned by Indigo.
I think he's talking about you. But I could write it.
There you go. There you go. Humphrey says, "Can God like a good work that someone does?" Yeah. I'm not sure what that. Jeff Potts says, "Cough, cough, legal action, cough, cough."
Yeah.
P Money says, okay. I so badly want Mike Barron's autograph. I just bought the autographed Florida Man. I can't wait. Excellent.
Thank you, P Money.
Excellent. All right, we got about 4.5 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. Any last minute questions? This is your opportunity. Mike Barron has finally come out of the woodworks.
Like a worm.
like what's that? The badger? No, groundhog. The Groundhog Day. And here's your opportunity to ask him any. He's open to any questions. He'll
Any
tell you
reasonable
anything.
question.
There's no reason here. This is YouTube. Let's see. First time I've ever heard his voice, says Gerald Welsh.
I'm sure you're disappointed, Gerald.
The ever self-deprecating Mike Barron, the Shadow Band Zone. Hyper Potato says, I keep hoping Barron will come to Heroes Con in Charlotte. He's a legend. Any chance of that happening?
Well, yeah. I was there once many years ago. Who's the guy that runs Heroes Con? Shell.
I don't know, man. I haven't been there for 20.
But I've been in touch with him, and he's a good guy. But he's they're hurting now. There's probably going to be no Heroes Con this year. He always said I could come. I'd have to pay my travel expenses, but he'd put me up in a hotel.
Mm.
And I've thought about it. What is that guy's name? It's driving me nuts. Do you know who I mean? Do you know that guy?
No, I literally haven't been there for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I'd love to go back.
I would too, actually. Gerald Welch says, when are you going to write a legacy?
What do you mean by that, Gerald? Do you mean like the Destroyer? Are you talking about the Destroyer?
Yeah, we'll wait for him to answer. Yeah. Meanwhile, Don Shin says, what's up with Badger? Can we do a Hamsters crossover?
We can work them in. I have a new publisher that's interested. I can't give away any details now, but they're a serious player.
That's epic. Mike Barron always posts funny stuff on Twitter, says Pablo Romero.
Thank you, Pablo.
Another great artist, by the way, Pablo.
I counted it too.
Yeah, how many projects do you have lined up waiting for artists?
Well, I have a half dozen fully realized concepts with scripts, and Kelsey was asking me about one of them that he'd read before. And it's possible that we may get into that later after he finishes Nexus. But I'm always dreaming up new stuff. And right now I'm in love with Florida Man. I'd like to do more Florida Man. It looks like we're going to be able to do that too.
That's nice. And yeah, since, you could have other people actually running the campaigns, and you could be doing one of your own. So you could literally be juggling 3 campaigns at once.
Well, I can't, but my wife Ann can. I mean, she's the brains of this operation.
Don Chan says, Sheldon Drum?
That's it.
That's the one. You win a Cupid doll, Don Chin. Please pick it up around back. Legend of the Shadow Band, a new superhero. Now, on our earlier stream today, we were talking about creating a new villain for my Lone Star universe, and we thought Mother would be a great she's sort of like a Gaia kind of a evil villain who controls all these Antifa idiots.
And her name is Karen.
That's her real name.
Yeah.
Fly Fox Pro says, I'd be glad to draw a comic for Mike Barron.
Fly Fox, contact me through Twitter. Let me see your art.
There you go. All of you artists who want to work with Mike Barron, he's open to seeing everyone's art. And if he doesn't respond to you, then just sorry.
I'll respond.
Yeah, one of these days, Mike and I will line up on a project. That'll be epic. Is a ride on a flying gator available as a perk with Florida Man?
Well, no, but if you want to go to Florida, there are plenty of opportunities, especially on golf courses.
All right, let's roll up and see if we move this to 482 backers, 25, 5, 32. I don't even know if that's where we were at the beginning.
I don't think so. You got to refresh it. Let me take a look
25,
here.
634, 484. So we did make a little movement, and hopefully a few hundred extra people will watch this overnight, and that'll be great. Does Mike appreciate fan art?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, crud.
There you go. A man of few words, except on paper.
Well, I mean, it depends on the art. I work with a lot of young artists, and a lot of young artists come to me for advice. I'm working with some guys right here in town, but they want to be comic book artists, and they draw characters out of comic books, which I say you shouldn't do that. That's a mistake. You're just copying somebody else's mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to learn how to draw is to draw from life. Draw what you see before you, and don't just draw these bulked up steroid freaks. I mean, they're easy to do because all the visual cues are there, especially of a male, with the muscles, and they're easy to hang on to the muscles and lose the humanity of the character beneath them. But so I'm working with some young artists here, and I tell them to take life drawing, to draw what they see. Always carry a sketch pad with you at all times and fill it. I wish you guys could see Steve Rude's routine. Steve is still studying how to be a better artist at his age. He's still studying with other great artists and trying to learn from them, trying new techniques all the time. He draws all day long. For warm-ups, his warm-ups look like other people's finished art because he paints them,
All right. Epic. All right, guys. I got to wrap it up. I actually do have to do drawing myself. I want to thank Mike Barron for making the time to come on my show today. It was sort of an impromptu Nerds of the Round Table, but all about Mike's.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike squared. Thanks everybody for being here. God bless you guys, and have a great Florida day. Back Florida man. Link is in the description, in the chat. Mike, any last words for our peoples?
Back Magnificent 7.
Thank you very much. God bless you guys.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.